Welcome to another video. I finally decided after seeing it on YouTube for who knows how long, I'm going to do my own Supernatural tier list. Now, I'm going to do a few more tier lists for a few more fandoms, but since this is the fandom I'm most engrossed in right now, I'm going to start with this. Beware, there's going to be some hot takes in this, and I've never done this before, so let's see what happens. Okay, first up we have the prophet himself, we have Kevin. So these are all going to be like, this is superior, really good, kind of good, okay, bad, throw it out tier. I'm putting Kevin in the good tier. He doesn't really do much in the beginning, but he's so just entertaining. And I love how when the first time you see him, he's like, I need to apply to Princeton, I need to apply to Princeton. And it's so funny to like watch him do that. And over the course of the series, you really see him grow into a strong character, even though he's doesn't want anything to do with any of it in the beginning. And also his death made me cry. But he is a really good character. And next up we have Ketch. Or Arthur Ketch, it likes to be called. I'm putting him in the throw it out tier. I know a lot of people don't like that because he did have a good redemption arc, but I do not like him. Even though he had a good redemption arc, he still was a terrible person. He joined the British Moneylenders, who literally got initiated by killing their best friend as kids, then killed a bunch of monsters, some who weren't even doing anything, killed the psychic girl who was being abused, killed a bunch of other monsters, brainwashed Sam and Dean's mother, and then had her kill for them, and manipulated her into staying away from them. And then, you top it off, he worked with the Prince of Hell. So yeah, he's going in the trash. Sorry to all you Ketch lovers out there, but he does not make my list. Oh, next we have the Queen of Supernatural herself. We have Rowena. Now this might surprise all of you, but I'm just going to put her in the okay tier. She really grew on me throughout the season, but the first time we see Rowena, I was not a big fan of her. She was a terrible mother. She was a manipulator. Very evil witch, and she gets the term the most deadly witch. But towards the end of the series, she really grew on me. I love how she develops into a character that really helps Sam and Dean out. She really even starts to care for them as she sacrificed her life for them in the end. But still, in the beginning, she was still a terrible mother. And I know some people put her in the best tier, but she's just okay for me. Next up, we have the monsters themselves. I decided to group them all together. They're also going to be going in the okay tier because there are too many monsters in Supernatural for me to rank them all. And I like that most of the monsters have like a moral gray kind of area where they're not all bad and they're not all good. They're all just kind of want to do their own thing. And most of them are pretty meh. And some of them are just really good. They want to do the right thing. So they're going in the okay tier for me. Next up we have Apocalypse World Michael. If I can get to work. He is going to go in the bad tier. He makes the Archangels look very bad, even though the show has shown that this world's angels are pretty bad. He takes over Dean's body, destroys an entire world with a bunch of humans, captures Death and the Reapers so that none of the humans can even go anywhere, which means who knows where they all go when they die. And then he tries to do it to another world just to get his father's attention. Yeah, he's going in the bad tier. Next up, we have my personal favorite character. We have Sam Winchester. He is, honestly, not only is he a hero, even though he doesn't have a bit of a hero complex, he's one of my favorite characters. He's so good. He's very smart, very intelligent, and even though throughout the series you see he struggles with his dark side, you see he really cares about trying to help everyone he can, and he's always willing to do the right thing, even if it doesn't have the right result. But yeah, I love him. Everyone I know loves him, and he's just the best. Alright, next up we have Claire Novak. She's going in the good tier for me. I know a lot of people don't like her, and I don't really see why, because she's pretty interesting for me. I love how she went from going Jimmy Novak's daughter to being a big part of the character, and how Sam and Dean act with her. Like, she's their adoptive daughter, and same with Castiel. They all really care about her, and she really grew on me. And I really think people need to back off on her character slacking because she's a good character. She's not as bad as people say. Sure, she's grumpy and petty, but she's a teenager and she's been through a lot. I mean, her mom literally walked out on her and she was in a state home for a while. So yeah, she's going in the good tier. Alright, next up we have Mary Winchester. Now, hot taking coming. I'm not sure how a lot of you feel about this, and I know this will be divided. I am putting Mary in the okay tier. As much as I really do like her character in the beginning of the series, there are things she does that make me go, why would you do that? I know some people would put her in the really good tier, or maybe even in the bad tier, but she's just okay for me. She's a good mother. She really obviously does love Sam and Dean, which I really appreciate. And I know that her deal with the Yellow-Eyed Demon was made out of love for John, but the thing she did in season 5, she didn't decide with the British Moneylenders, really kind of takes her down for me. I know she did it out of love as well, but she shouldn't have lied to them for so long. I am glad, though, that she was able to make up, and she really did grow on me. By the end of the series, I really did love her. I was hoping we would see a lot more of her. Next up, we have Gordon Walker. He is going in the trash. I don't think there's anything else that needs to be said about that. I don't like him. He's a terrible person, and even though he's a hunter, he's still a terrible hunter. And when by that, I don't mean his hunting skills are terrible. I mean his morals are terrible. He hunts anyone who isn't human mercifully, even if they haven't done anything, and decides to kill them. And he was even willing to kill Sam just because another demon told him to, and Sam hadn't even done anything yet. All because his sister got turned into a vampire, and then he killed her. So yeah, he's going in the trash, and that is where he will always stay. I am so glad he's gone. Next up, we have Bella. She's going in the bad tier for me. I am not a big fan of Bella. She gets on my nerves every time she's on screen, and she just. I think I feel the same way that Sam and Dean do about her. She's always stealing from them, always causing them trouble. And I honestly think that the theory about her being part of British Moneylenders is true, because I don't know where else she would have come from. I will give her some slack for having a mysterious past with possible abusive parents, but the fact that she made a deal to kill them makes her go even worse. So yeah, she's going in the bad tier. Actually, let's put her in the trash. That is where she's going to stay. Alright, next we have the devil himself. He is going to go in the okay tier. I know he's been in a lot of people's top tier, and I may be a little bit biased due to British beliefs, but he is just going in the okay tier because of everything he did throughout the series. He's a terrible person, a terrible archangel, he only cares about Jack so he can take over the world, hates humans just because God loved them more than he loved him, and he's the freaking devil. Of course he's gonna be a terrible person. So yeah, that is where he's going, and I don't feel bad about placing him there. Alright, next up we have Amara and Chuck. I decided to place them together. They're going in the really good tier, because even though their arcs are different throughout the series and you see both sides of them, they're really interesting characters. I like how you see how in the beginning Chuck is just seen as a prophet, and you don't really know his backstory, and he's mysterious, and throughout the series you see more and more that he is in fact the Almighty. And with Amara, immediately when she's seen, it's seen that she's evil, and she definitely does some bad things, but you really see that her main agenda isn't to cause harm or to really hurt anyone. She just wants her brother's love, which makes her a more sympathetic character. Although I will say that Amara does have a bit of a dark past, so I don't know if she's good, but I wouldn't say she's bad either. And plus her actress is beautiful, and her romance with Dean is a little creepy, but I still think it's worth watching. So Amara's going in the really good tier. Alright, next up we have the Princess of Hell, and they are going in the really bad tier. Even though they were all kind of interesting, they're all still really bad, really powerful beings that, apart from Yellow Eyes in the very beginning, could have lasted in a ton more episodes, but we really only see bits and pieces of their power, and they all kind of annoy me. But I will say that they're a lot more entertaining than villains like Metatron, and they do get things done, apart from Ramiel, who just doesn't care. But yeah, so they're going in the bad tier. Next up we have the Scribe of God himself, and this is the supernatural version, not the actual version of him, Metatron. He is going in the bad tier. He is so annoying. I don't know if anyone else feels the same, but that is where he's going to stay. I don't like him. No one else on the show likes him. That is where he's going to stay. All right, next up we have John Winchester. And he is going to go, if I can fit him, in the okay tier. Oh, I can't fit him. So we'll put him in the good tier. I'm not really a big fan of John Winchester, but I will say that he does have his moments where it's shown that he really does care about his boys. There are rumors that he may have been abusive, and there are hints about that throughout the show, but I think, whether that's up or not for debate, I think it really shows that he does love his boys. I mean, he died for them. And despite all the way I feel about him, he is a good character. He's a good hunter, and he does everything he can to make sure Sam and Dean grew up to be the heroes they were, as we saw in season 2, an episode where he wasn't there, and they weren't hunters. Sam and Dean weren't out there being themselves. They were just ordinary guys, and without John, they wouldn't be who they were today. Next up, we have Charlie. She, of course, is going in the best tier. She is awesome. I love Charlie. Just the way that she's able to, like, bring everything to life just by how smart she is, a Harry Potter reference, some kind of reference. It's amazing. I love her, and she's awesome. And I'm so glad they brought her back, because I was so sad when she died. And I wish she had been in more episodes. All right, next up we have Sister Jo, or Anael. She's going in the good tier. I know we didn't see very much of her, but I still think she's pretty cool. I like the fact that throughout the series, it's not really explained what her motives are. Michael says she wants love, and she never really confirms that, but it definitely seems hinted that that's what she wants, and I can definitely get behind that. I wish they had done more with her character, because I think she's only in like 4 or 5 episodes, but I definitely am happy that she's there, and she's an interesting character. Alright, next up we have Emma. And this is going to be an unpopular opinion, or depending on how you all view her, I am putting Emma in the bad tier. As much as I enjoy working with her and adding her and reading about her in fan fictions, she was not a good character. She only lasted for 1 episode, and her only purpose was literally to kill Dean. And Dean gave her the chance to walk away, and she could have, but she chose not to. She chose her monster side. I feel like if they had gone a completely different direction with that and had her join him and become a hunter, that would have been a good arc for him, especially in season 7 when he was so depressed after what happened with Bobby and everything. But she didn't, and she literally was like, hey, so you're my dad and I'm going to kill you. She also emotionally manipulated him using his affection for her so he wouldn't shoot her, and he couldn't. Sam had to do it. So yeah, that is why Emma is going to be in the bad tier. Next up, we have Raphael, and we also didn't see much of him either, but I am putting him in a really good tier. I know some people would disagree with that, especially the fans of Castiel, but I love Raphael. His few appearances make him so interesting, and I like that, unlike some of the angels that are either really bad or really good, Raphael's more of a neutral character. He does want to start the apocalypse. He's just so interesting and so mysterious that you can't help but love him. And the fact that he was in not 1 but 2 vessels, one was male, one was female, is so interesting. And he was in the episode French Mistake, which was one of my favorite episodes. So yeah, that is why he's going in the really good tier. Next up we have Lisa, who is my favorite love interest for Dean. She's going to go in the really good tier. I know a lot of Destiel fans out there are going crazy, but she's an amazing character. I love her. Even though we don't see her much, she needs to be more involved in the show. There's no doubt about that. Next up, we have Dean. He, of course, is going in the best tier. I will admit at first I was unsure about Dean, as I thought he was a little rude, but he grew on me really fast. I love how funny he can be. I love how strong he can be, and I love how much he loves his brother. And you really see throughout the series that even though in the beginning he seems kind of like just a typical bad boy, you really see he's got a heart of gold, and he really cares about everyone. So yeah, I am really happy to say that he is in the best tier. Next up we have Castiel, everyone's favorite angel. He is also going in the best tier. I know he has his moments where his motives are questionable, but I love the fact that he's always changing, and just the fact that he tries so hard to do the right thing just for Sam and Dean, who have become his family, is so touching, and I can't help but love him. So I really, really am happy to say that he goes in the best tier. Next up, we have Jack. he's going in the really good tier, and the only reason he's a bit down from the best tier is due to his actions when he was soulless. Now, that may sound a little bit biased, as I didn't take Sam down for his actions when he was soulless, even though he might have been soulless longer than Jack did. But the reason why I moved him down is because when he was soulless, even though Sam hurt and killed a bunch of people, he didn't really do what Jack did, and he didn't kill anyone of his own family. Jack, unfortunately, when he was soulless, killed Mary, and he tried his very best to fix it, of course, but he didn't care. He still blamed her because he didn't have a soul. He didn't care. And that kind of really brings him down a little bit for me. But other than that, I love him, and he is so fun to watch. He makes me laugh, and I love the fact that Sam, Dean, and Castiel kind of adopt him, and there's still an argument throughout the fandom which one of the characters is his surrogate father. And I like to say it's just all three. Alright, so it looks like we're running out of room a little bit, but I'll make it work. Next up we have Meg, and she is going to go in the really bad tier. I like to use Meg. She's fun to use as like a demon follower, like a minor antagonist. And even though I'm a big fan of her redemption arc, she started out pretty bad. She's working for the Yellow-Eyed Demon. She murdered a bunch of people. She killed the original Meg when she was knocked outside a building, and took her name, took her identity, and did who knows what else since she's a demon. But that being said, she probably has done more than we see, as even though she turned against Crowley to help the Windshires out, it was only because she wanted to be with Castiel. And I say that even as a kind of Meg Steele shipper, that was the only reason for her redemption. She didn't like Crowley, she wanted to be with Castiel, and she wanted to get back at him for kicking the devil's butt. So that's why she's in the very bad tier. Let's see who we have next. Next up we have Ruby. Ooh. Also known as Jen, Jared's real wife. I am going to say that Ruby goes in the okay tier for me. I know a lot of people don't like her, but honestly, even though she turned out to be working with the devil the whole time, they did her manipulation so well. Like, in the very beginning, I didn't trust her at all. I figured she was just using Sam. But towards the end, like, they did her so well that I actually started to trust her. I'm like, okay, maybe she's not that bad. Maybe she can actually help them out. And even though I'm not a Sam and Ruby shipper, I definitely give them applause for creating a ton of chemistry that actually turned out to be real life. And I feel like if things had been different and Ruby had actually been a pure-hearted character, like a good character, we definitely could have had an interesting twist of events where we have a demon trying to become human again. Next up, we have Sarah, who is my favorite love interest for Sam. I know she's only in 2 episodes, but I can't help but love her. She's going in the very good tier. She's very fierce, and she accepts the hunter life pretty much instantly, and is willing to not let Sam and Dean tell her what to do. As soon as they tell her it's dangerous, she shouldn't be here, she's like, are we going or what? Let's do this. And the only reason she's not in the best tier is because we only saw her in 2 episodes. I definitely feel like there's a missed opportunity with her character, especially like with Dean being trapped in purgatory. She definitely could have been used again as Sam goes to live with her, like they're together, Dean comes back, and they're fighting, and she could have encouraged Sam to make up with Dean, and eventually, because of that, Crowley goes after her, because eventually we know from the show that he does kill her. But unfortunately, that didn't happen, and we only saw her in 2 episodes. But still, she's still an awesome character, and I wish she had been used more. Alright, next up we have Jodie. She is also going in the really good tier, because you can't help but love Jodie. She's badass, and I love some badass woman in Supernatural. She's just so great. I love the way that she cares for Alex and Claire and adopts them. And she's been through so much. Like, every time I watch the episode with what happened to her family, I can't help but wonder how much, even though it's so horrible, like, it stays with her and it helps her to become a hunter and shapes her to be an amazing person to keep it from happening to anyone else. And honestly, she's just an awesome character. I love Kim Rhodes. Next up, we have Donna. And she's a little perky for me, as she was kind of annoying in the beginning, but I'm putting her in the good tier. I do really like Donna, even though she annoyed me a bit at first, but I love that the perky, even though she's very perky, she's still very, she's still a badass. She can definitely kick butt. She saves those she cares about, protects the girls as much as she can. And she's a pretty good hunter. She's only taken on a few vampires and a few other things, but she can definitely kick butt. I wouldn't put it past her to, in the future, if we ever did get the Wayward Sisters spin-off show, I definitely wouldn't put it past her to see her hunting alongside Jodie, because those two are definitely awesome as a pair. All right, next up we have Rufus, the grumpy friend of Bobby Singer. He's going to go in the good tier. We didn't see much of Rufus. I wish we had seen more of him. But from what I did see, he's pretty likable, even though he's so grumpy. But just the fact that he's so grumpy just makes me love him. Because honestly, all I can do is laugh anytime he's on screen and he complains about something. And he's like so grumpy and mean that it's funny. But even so, you can still see that he's a good-hearted man. And even though he was mad at Bobby for something that we only know bits and pieces about, he's still willing to fight and die for him, even though he's like, I'll never forgive you, but I'm still gonna die for you. Which he eventually kind of does. And I really wish we'd seen more of him, and we had seen more of his backstory, because the Bobby and Rufus relationship is so pure. Well, maybe not 100% pure, but you know what I mean. All right, next up we have Bobby Singer himself. He is going, if I can fit him, in the really good tier. He's an awesome character. He's an awesome surrogate father to Sam and Dean. I love him so much. He's a good hunter, and even with his tragic backstory, what happened to his wife and his abusive father, you can't help but love him. And I love the fact that throughout the series, you just see more and more and more of him. And officially, like right before he dies, he says that he adopted 2 boys and he loves them. And I'm just like, yes. Everyone loves Bobby Singer. He is awesome. And there'll never be another father figure for me, even John, that is better than Bobby Singer. And next up we have Anna. Oops, the stuff getting moved around. Hold on 1 second. Anna is going to go in the okay tier. I liked her a lot at first, but they really kind of dragged her character through the mud. I know originally she was going to be Dean's love interest, but I don't know how that would have gone down, as I really like Castiel a lot more than I like her. And her eventual goal of killing Sam and Dean's parents just to stop the apocalypse from happening, while it is, I guess, in her own twisted way for the greater good, it's still a bad thing to do, as we saw in Apocalypse World War without Sam and Dean is not a good one. Even though she didn't know, she's basically risking the life of the entire world to make sure the devil doesn't come back. And she's willing to kill 2 innocent people to do it. So yeah, she's going in the okay tier. She's more of a villain than she is a hero. But next up we have Crowley, everyone's favorite crossroads demon, and now the king of hell. Crowley is going to go in the okay tier. And before you all attack me in the comments, let me explain why. So, as charming and funny as Crowley is, I'll definitely say that he brings life to the show with every scene he's in. He really gets on my nerves sometimes. Like, for example, in season 6, when he's, like, being, like, the anti-hero of the show, like, he'll do something and I'll be like, Crowley, that's you again, what have you done? And I'll literally, and he was a pretty malicious guy. He kidnapped Ben and Lisa, which almost led to her death. He stole the angel tablet, tortured a bunch of angels, tortured Kevin, killed his girlfriend, and he's made a ton of Crossroads deals. So even though he is a good character, he's just okay for me, as he's done a lot of bad things. And I think one of the reasons that people love him so much is because Mark Shepard is awesome. He's a really charming guy. Next up we have Castiel's other love interest, that is Hannah. And I honestly like her a lot more than I do Meg, even though I think Castiel would have been happy with Meg. She's going in the good tier, as she's a really good Angel, and she's shown to really support Castiel in trying to fix the mistake he did when the Angels fell. And I think that she's such a good character, even though we don't see much of her. She's definitely a character that deserved more screen time. And I am very sad that she ended up dying as well. But I suppose that's just supernatural logic. If someone from Team Fubo has a girlfriend, the girlfriend has to die, which is unfortunate. But I really loved her. And it was weird seeing her come back in a male vessel. But I guess since she's an angel, she doesn't really have a gender. So I guess we can just say meh to that. Alright, so last up on our list is the first murderer himself, Kane. And surprise, surprise, he is going to go in the okay tier. But it's not because I don't like him. It's because we only saw him in like 2 episodes. I really like Kane. He has an interesting story arc. But the thing that intrigues me about Kane is not the fact that he's the first murderer, that he's a demon. It's due to the fact of how powerful he is. And how he kind of has morals, if you can really call it morals. And the fact that he kind of twists the story, like the original story of him killing his brother, is to save his brother instead of just killing him because of jealousy. Now, there's a debate about whether or not he lied, which is possible. But I actually like his character, and I wish we had seen more of him. But they also kind of dragged his character through the mud as he succumbed to the mark again and started killing people again. I understand he was trying to save everyone from his descendants, but he was still back to killing people, and that's not a good thing. I will come to flack for having the mark of Cain, as that is a very bad thing, as we saw that no one is able to really resist it fully. But he still did some bad things. He's still the first murderer, so he's just going in the okay tier. So that is my supernatural tier list, guys. I hope you all enjoyed, and leave your suggestions down in the comments below whether or not you agreed with me. And give me some suggestions of what tier list you guys want to see next. Have a good day. Bye!